Hello. How are you guys? Listen, it's been a while, right? I have done so many videos, and then I realized that I haven't done any videos on UAT. I'm like, wow, I have to fix that right now. So in this video, we're going to talk about the user acceptance testing. I am going to share with you some tips about how to do your UAT, what to look out for, what does success look like, how to manage the whole process. I'm going to get into all of that. So you don't want to miss this video, okay? And you don't want to jump around. You want to stay through the whole thing, watch till the end, because in the end, I'm also going to give you a template that you can start using for your own UAT. So we will be right back. All right. Welcome back. So we are going to be diving into the UAT today. We're going to talk about how to plan your user acceptance testing. It's going to be great. Let's jump into it right now. So how to plan your user acceptance testing, the user acceptance testing and a successful release. So the UAT is very important. Like, what is it? So UAT, user acceptance testing, what it is a way for you to verify or validate that the software you've spent all this time building, the feature, the enhancement, what you've done to improve the business problem, that at the end of that development, before you deploy it to your production environment, that you make sure that the users themselves or the user proxy is testing it to make sure it's going to solve the real world problem in a real world environment. So before, you may have been testing for QA in your own QA environment, which just has some dummy data, some fake stuff to make sure it works. But now you're going to put that code in an environment that is very much like your production environment, or very much like the real environment the end users will be operating in. And you want to make sure that you have actually covered all the use cases that you set out to cover, that the system works well with other data in the environment it's going to live in the future, and that everything is still working to solve the problem that you set out to solve. Sounds like a lot, right? But it's basically, before you send it out into the production environment, you need to test it. You need to make sure it works with the other data. You need to make sure it looks good, that it is solving the problem, doesn't create additional problems. The last thing you want is to release something and have all this marketing around it, and then when actual users go to use it, it's a flop because it doesn't work. That would be a big stain on the reputation of your company, of your department, of the output that the developers are producing. Everybody's going to take a hit for that. You don't want to have that, right? You don't want to have that, okay? You just don't. So this UAT is the last real rigorous testing that will determine the confidence that the UAT team will have in saying, yes, this should go out into our production for our actual clients to use, right? It's really for them to be the last gate before you make a big mistake, like putting something out that will break whatever else is there or will just not solve the problem. So it's very, very important. So in this video, we're going to cover why you do UAT, right? Why do you do it? I gave you some examples just now, but I'm going to get into more of that. How to plan for the UAT, right? How do you plan for this thing? What do you do? Who do you have as a part of it? How do you make sure it happens well and it's successful, right? How do you manage the process? What are the things you should be doing to make sure you're managing it well? And some steps for success. So we're going to cover those 4 things. Again, stay to the end where I'm going to share with you the template for doing the UAT, okay? So that's what we're covering in this video. Why do you do UAT? Why do UAT? Well, when you develop a new feature, how do you know it would solve the problem of the user? How do you really know? Because all along at the beginning, you talked to your stakeholders, you understood what the problem was, you came up with your conceptualized solution. They gave you sign off. You went off, you talked to your development team. You broke this big feature out into small user stories or requirements. You handed those requirements or user stories over to your developers. They went off and built stuff. QA went off and tested what they built. And now the product is done. Is it now time to launch that into the world? Is it? No, not yet. You still need to do that one test to make sure that whatever you came up with at the beginning when you conceptualized your solution was actually what was developed. All along you were seeing demos. If you're in Agile, you were seeing demos of what the end product looked like, but you may have been seeing demos per sprint. This is what this part looks like, and then this part, and then this part, and then this part, but you haven't seen the whole thing together. And even if you have, you haven't seen it work in the environment of a production where other things are influencing it, other data are coming in, other systems are taking from it or pushing to it. How does it work when it goes into a real world environment? How can you know that? You know that in the UAT. Hey guys, do you like this video so far? Is it helpful? Do you find it to be, informative? Are you enjoying this presentation I'm giving you? Well, if you are, then click the like button. Okay, pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it, pump it. Pump the like button. Go down there and click the like button to make sure that I know that you like the content. All right, let's get back to it. So, how can you validate that all this work your team has been doing for months will actually work? That is where the UAT comes in, okay? The goal of the UAT is to validate if a system or solution will meet the needs of the business users in their operational environment. Typically in the UAT, you have the business analyst or the product team, and then you have the users. So the business analyst is typically in charge of making sure the UAT is successful and organizing the UAT. And they're doing that with the help of the users or maybe the user proxy who's going to be the actual testers. Okay. So who participates in the UAT? That's a good question. Who should you have in your UAT? Well, for sure, you need to get some end users. And typically, if you're in like retail, the end user will be any customer that's a part of your ideal customer profile. You can go and see if they will be willing to help you with your testing. But in a more enterprise or corporate environment, typically you don't want to expose things to your end customers until it's really like very well vetted. So we typically, even if we invite end customers to be a part of the UAT and they know it's a part of their beta testing and they're expecting that things are going to not work perfectly because it's a part of a test, sometimes companies are still reluctant to even expose that to their actual clients. So sometimes in corporate settings, you tend to use the next best thing to your actual users, which is that I call them user proxy. What these people are the ones who are actually the ones talking to customers. So they know a lot about the customer's world. They understand the customer's journey. They know what the customer is trying to do. They may have even been the ones who suggested that we make this enhancement in the first place. So they know very intimately what the customer expects. So they will be a great candidate to be a part of the UAT. So customer support, customer service, it could even be the designers who knew what it's supposed to look like. So there's a lot of people that you could involve in your UAT. I always try to stay away from people who are more on the technical side. So even though I could involve designers, I feel like they are so close to it that they're probably going to see too much things wrong because they designed it. They can say, oh, the color is like a slightly different color gray. The real customer probably wouldn't care about that, but they will because they're so ingrained. So I like to stay away from, technical people. I want to stay on the business side. So customer support, tech support, trainers, just people who know the customers very well and can advocate on their behalf. Technical people typically are not the best for your UAT. Also, your product team. So your product team could be a part of the UAT too. Same kind of caveat that they are very close to it. So when I say product team, I mean your product owner, so they can have an idea of how the system is working from end to end. Obviously, you're the business analyst. You should be facilitating the whole UAT, not really participating in it. But your product owner can be a part of it. And, just mainly business people you really want, or end customers if you can get them. You're also going to have your QA team involved, because the QA is going to be helpful for creating the bugs or just managing the whole bugs that's going to come out of your UAT. Having bugs in your UAT is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that the code was wrong and they didn't build it right. It's just that there may be things in a production environment that you won't get from your QA environment. So having bugs that's the whole point, right? To uncover and to tease out the bugs before the client sees it, right? So it's fine to have your QA engineers in there. You may also have developers, obviously, because they're going to be the ones to solve the bugs once you find it. So this is your team for your user acceptance testing and how to plan your user acceptance testing. Your end users, your proxy end users, your product team, business analysts, your QA engineers, and your developers. Now, how to plan the UAT. The key to a good UAT is the people, the process, and the priority. Those are the three things that's going to make your UAT very successful. You need to make sure you have the right people in there. If they don't have the right people, you're going to find that they're not going to find the right bugs, and they're not going to be able to help you test very well. If you don't have a good process, it could be a chaotic environment if you don't have a good process, because people could be going everywhere. They don't know where to find the data. The environment isn't set up right. It could be a mess. So having a very well clearly defined process is going to be helpful, and everybody needs to understand what the process is. And then the priority. The priority is super, super, super key. And you're going to do this with the help of your product owner or your product manager or your project manager. This is to say that even though we may have found many bugs during our UAT, which ones are the most prioritized? Which ones do we have to have fixed before we go to production? Which ones are going to delay the release? So that person needs to give you that direction for you to know how to prioritize the bugs and know what features you need to prioritize dev's time on building out. If it's not a bug, if it's a missing feature, that's critical, right? So you just need to make sure the priority is there and somebody is taking ownership of setting that priority. The other thing that you have to have in your UAT is knowing the existing functionality. You need to know how the system works today. You got to know what are all the other pieces that interact with whatever new functionality you're coming up with, because this new piece you're making is going to live in the world of everything else. So you got to know what else is going on so you can know how to write your test cases, right? And you need to know the new enhancements. So it's assumed that you were the ones who wrote the requirements for this new enhancement, but it could be that you just jumped in to help with some other project's UAT. So you need to know what exists today and what is the new change. And you need to know it very, very intricately, very detailed, right? You need to think through edge cases. So the happy path is great, but what happens if this goes wrong and that goes wrong and that goes wrong? How should the system recover? How do we help the user recover? How do we prevent them from having to duplicate things, right? So knowing the edge cases will be great for your UAT to make sure that in the real production environment, the way you expect the system to behave for those edge cases is actually what it does. That's going to be important. Writing test cases. So this is one where I often have to debate this one with people, because people believe that because it's a UAT, it should be free for all. It should be ad hoc only, because their argument is that in the real world, the user will not have test cases. The user will not have somebody in their ear telling them what to click on. So your system needs to exist and be functional in a world where you don't have instructions like that. I mean, you could have helper text on the screen or whatever, but you don't have a person telling you this is how you do this. So I get that point and I agree with it. But when I leave the testing to be completely ad hoc, you're going to miss things. You are sure 100% going to miss things. The reason is because you know what you have coded for. You know what use cases you have anticipated and fixed in the code. So the average user may not have that same scenario set up to know how to do that ad hoc. You have to kind of guide them. Okay, what if you have an empty state and the table doesn't have any data? What does it show in your production environment? Example, right? They wouldn't typically just know how to do that. So having a kind of a guided UAT, I think, is preferable along with the ad hoc. So the ad hoc is important because you want to tease out just regular bugs that anybody going in would find without being directed. But you also need to direct them so they can cover the edge cases. So I think it's both. And I would say the ad hoc comes first because they're going to jump in with enthusiasm and excitement. I want to see how this new feature works. They don't want to be like following this step, okay, that, and then this step, okay, that. It's like it's about skill. So let them jump in and use it. Just go, use it however you feel like, right? And then once they've done that to some satisfaction, then you say, okay, I want you to follow these exact steps as well and see what happens when you do those steps. I think that's just a great balance to get the best of both worlds. And it doesn't have to be duplicative, right? It can be, you can write the test cases so that they don't seem to be like boring and repetitive. You can write it to be very intricate, but still cover the use cases. All right, set up the environment to be productive, to be production-like. So it's very, 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 very important. Set up the environment. Yes, so you really have to make sure the environment is correct. If the environment is not correct, you're not doing anything with your testing. Your testing is already failed. Just forget it. If you don't have a production-style environment, why are you doing this test? UAT is supposed to be production-like, okay? I get very frustrated when people want to use a testing environment, like a QA environment, to do UAT. I'm like, this is not accomplishing a lot. It does do a little bit, so you can make sure it doesn't really completely bomb, but you want to see how it works with real-world data, which you're going to get from your production environment, right? So you don't really want to do a UAT that's like a QA. Okay, the next thing is you want to do your UAT when you have finished QAing. So QA needs to come to an end. It needs to be dev complete. Dev complete means that you've done all your coding and you've done all your testing before you jump into UAT. Don't use your UAT testers as QA. It's not going to work because it's just two different things. The QA includes, unit testing, all these different things, smoke testing, regression testing, all that. But the UAT is supposed to be focused on the end user's perspective, the end user in their environment. And so if you're trying to do UAT and QA as one, not a good idea. Don't do it. Learn from my experience. It's going to be a headache. There could be that you could be crunched for time to meet your release date, and you may have to make some tough decisions. It could be that you say, QA is going to test up to this date, and we might have a day or two overlap between QA and UAT, but don't try to use your UAT folks as additional QA folks. It's not a good idea. Okay, learn. I've gone through some of this. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. So it's very important to have the right environment, have the right data, have the right user roles so they can go in and see different views. All that setup is immensely important to have a successful UAT. Also, send out the invites early to make sure you book the time with the people who are going to be instrumental in making sure they can test with you. Prep the data, like I just said. It's very important to have the right data. Make sure you have the right logins, right? And make sure you have a plan for managing the bugs. Okay, so managing the UAT. How to make it successful. How to manage your UAT to make it successful, okay? All right, so the environment. I can't stress this enough. I know I've been saying it, but it's just so crucial. It's so crucial. You will go through a lot of pains if you don't have the right environment. Trust me, this is the most important thing. Second to planning it, it's just having the environment it's important. So a good UAT uses the environment as close to the real world environment as possible. Okay, this means you need to set up a production-like environment to test. So if you can copy the production data over to this new environment and let them test in that environment, or if you just have somebody create some data sets and then upload it there, but it has to be very real world like, okay? You need to allow the ad hoc testing. We talked about that. So they go in and just test. They click on whatever they want to click on and just do whatever they feel like. Ad hoc testing is great. High level test cases. So write your test cases to be high level, meaning don't be click by click by click by click by click. The people in your test environment should be people who are very familiar with the user. So being familiar with the user's journey means that you don't have to explain every single thing to them. You can say, create an application, as opposed to click this button, click create button, click the name field, click, you don't have to go through all that click by click by click. They should know what create an application should be. So you can have a higher level test case, and it prevents them from having to look at every single thing before they can navigate and move through the system you've just created, okay? And you need to support the testing exercise. So what that means is that you are 100% available during the testing to answer questions, to clarify anything that they have, so that you don't end up with duplicate bugs, which I'll talk about too. So I like, because it's a virtual environment now, I would open up a meeting and the meeting is running, and then they can jump in if they have a question and then jump back out to go continue testing. I'm just there listening in. If they have any questions, they can ask me. I'm just available, right? If you are doing it physically, then you'd be in the same room. Everybody has their computer. They're all sitting down and they're all focused on it. What you want is their focus and their attention. You don't want them to be multitasking, doing their regular job, and then they're like testing in between their regular job, going to another meeting and then testing in between. You don't want that, because they're not focused enough. You want to get permission from their boss or whoever that this resource is going to be dedicated to testing within this time, and they're not available for anything else. They're not available for no other meeting. They're not available for no other discussion or to giving any work. The testing time for UAT is a focus time where the other job that they do regularly is put on the back burner because they need to be working on this right here. So, test cases. You need to make sure you have preconditions in your test cases, like what environment is this test supposed to happen in, making sure that they know what should be set up before they get into the testing. The purpose of the test. So, this test is going to, check for empty state edge cases, right? So that's maybe like a 1 or 2 liner. It doesn't have to get into much detail. And then you split the test into logical steps. So maybe you have an empty state test. You have a test for creating the application, a test for getting the results. You can split it up so that it doesn't feel overwhelming to be reading through this very, very long test case. It's just really hard. So if you can make it like 10 steps, the most per section, 10 steps per section, so they can feel like they're moving through it faster, as opposed to like, oh my God, this testing will never end. Remember, you're dealing with people, right? You got to make sure it's very easy for people to do. All right. And then high level steps, we just talked about that. And you can put the expected result. I don't always put it because I want the result to be whatever the result is. But, you could put expected results so they know if they're not getting what they're supposed to get. And then you should run through the test yourself. Do the test yourself and see how you feel about doing it, and see if it's really uncovering what you want it to uncover and you're not wasting other people's time. Now, issues log. This is one of the most important things with your test. I like to have the testers themselves record the bug that they find. So I have an Excel sheet. They go in there, they fill out, I have a little template of what they need to fill out. They put their screenshots and they fill out to a certain level. And I'll show you the template in a minute. But they fill out to a certain level, and at this level, I fill out the rest, and I am the one creating the bugs, or my QA team is creating the bugs. I don't have my testers creating the bugs, because that's going to cause them to have duplicate bugs, or they don't have the style of how to write a bug anyway. So they might just be throwing things into Jira, and it becomes unmanaged, very hard to manage. So I'd rather them create the bugs in that spreadsheet, and at the end of the day I have a session with the product owner or the product manager to prioritize the bugs. Which one of these things that came out of our testing session today is the most important? And the ones that are deemed the most important to fix is the one that I go ask QA to create in Jira, because I don't want to fill my Jira up with a bunch of bugs that's not really urgent for the release, So in your issues log, you want to have a test area. So you could say, I'm testing empty state, I'm testing application, I'm testing credit score, all of these different sections that you could have. So you kind of know where the bug lies. You want to have the description, and description needs to include things that you think is important to replicate that bug, like maybe the account number or whatever, is important for that type of system that you're creating. You put that screenshot of where the bug happened. You might need to put the URL if it's like a web application, or maybe an ID number or an account number or a user number, whatever identification that could help them to replicate it and to see exactly what the tester saw would be helpful. The environment, is it in the production? Well, you wouldn't test in production, but is it in maybe your sandbox? Is it in maybe your preview environment, your QA? Like, where were they when they had this bug? And which tester had the bug? So if you need to reach out to them, you know who had the issue. And then what I would fill out as a BA would be the other parts of it. So the status, maybe I say this bug is still open, it's fixed, or it's deferred, or whatever. The bug type, it could be that this bug came about because it was a whole different missing requirement that we didn't even consider. So it's a missing requirement. It's it's missing from the design, or it was in the design but not developed, or whatever. So you can have some bug type categories that you can agree on. And the ticket number in Jira, if you create it in Jira, or if you don't use Jira, you could say wherever you do updates to bugs. The priority. So this is important. When you sit down with the product owner or the product manager, where does this bug lie? Is this something that we have to fix? Is it critical that has to be fixed before release? Is it something that's a nice to have? Is it something that's just high priority, but if we can do it after we release? Like, what's the prioritization? And I only create bugs for the things that they said needs to be happen before release or right after release. If it's something that's like, it's a low priority, I'm not going to go create a bug for it, because it's going to just become a whole lot of bugs in Jira that we're not going to get to. So when that thing becomes an urgent or a high or like a more critical issue, then I go create the bug, because I have the sheet. I can go back to the sheet at any point, right? And I'll see which bugs were not created. So that's how I do it. So be available to support the test. We talked about that. Meet with the product team and prioritize is also, again, very important. So the UAT process, to make it successful, please communicate the bugs early. So tell your QA team, hey, these are the bugs. Actually, you can share that Excel sheet with the QA team so they can see what bugs are there, and they see which Jira ticket it belongs to, and you can keep that updated as well. Retest as soon as the bugs are fixed. And then once they've retested everything, you feel that there's a higher level of confidence, and get a sign off from the UAT participants that they feel that the feature is working well in that production-like environment, and they have that level of confidence, and you communicate that to the rest of the project team that, UAT is completed, we have this level of confidence, everybody's okay, they all sign off to it, and then now your release can go out with the confidence that people tested it and they know it's going to work. It's a great feeling. And that's how you close out your UAT. So, just to recap, steps for a successful UAT. So first of all, UAT can be difficult to manage. Just know that. It's not an easy thing. It's a difficult thing to manage, but you can do it, right? Doing it virtually sometimes helps because it's easier to take screenshots, and it's easier to just, you're already on your computer, just send things over, be a part of the meeting. So it doesn't hurt by being virtual. I mean, being in person is always the best, but being virtual doesn't really have I haven't found it to be a big deterrent for a successful UAT. And how to plan the UAT virtually is kind of the same. There's a few things to look out for, right, when you're doing your UAT, and these are the things. So scheduling the right people. Scheduling the right people for the UAT is going to be very important. The people is going to make a big difference. Remember, it's people, process, and priority. That's going to be the key to having a good user acceptance testing, okay? Designating a single person or a team to create bugs. You don't want everybody creating bugs because you're going to end up with duplicates. It's just going to be a mess. It's going to get very hard to manage very quickly. You need one person to create the bugs, or you could say the QA team creates the bugs and they designate one person within their team to go create bugs, right? So you don't end up with duplicates. Yeah, avoiding duplicate bugs is the most important thing, so you don't end up going crazy with a lot of bugs you can't manage. Set up users with the special privileges. Make sure you have the right types of users with all the rights that they need to have for them to do the test. Meet daily to prioritize bugs. So you meet daily. Create bugs that are of high priority, right? So you don't end up overwhelming your system with a bunch of bugs that are not even important. Get production-like environment set up. Very, very important. The most important thing. Make sure you have the right data right below the environment. Also very, very important. Write test cases at a high level. Super, super important as well. So there you have it. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's what I have to share with you today about your user acceptance testing and how to have a successful UAT. I hope this video was useful. I have a template I promise to share with you. I have a template on my website for the UAT. I have a template for the test cases, the UAT test cases, and I also have a template for the bug tracking list. So you can go there, you can download the template so you can have all the information you need for your UAT. Go to karaleise.com, go to templates, and then you'll see the list in there that includes the UAT test cases and the UAT bug tracking list. All right, so go there and pick that up and be able to have that kind of squared away for your UAT test. Now, if you like what you see in this video, go check out my channel. I have so much resources here on YouTube where you can listen to videos about JIRA, about business analysis, requirement solicitation, how to do the interviews. All that stuff is right here on my channel. So subscribe and check out my other videos. And also, you can get personalized help. You can book an appointment with me, and I can help walk you through what you're struggling with as you get into this career. It could be that you're up for an interview and you need some confidence for how to articulate yourself within the interview. I have a consult called the Interview Blueprint. People who do that consult walk away knowing exactly how they should answer the business analyst interview questions, knowing exactly how they should articulate themselves, knowing how to present themselves in an interview. So the Business Analyst Interview Blueprint is a great one if you're going up for an interview. Also, if you just started a new job and you need to know, okay, what do I do when they give me my first project? I have the Business Analyst New Job Game Plan, which helps you to know, okay, how do you handle your first project? What should you be doing? How can you make a good impression day one when you get your new BA job? That consult is also there, very, very useful. And if you just want to get help writing requirements, how do you write the requirements document? How do you write user stories? How do you know how to break up a big feature into small chunks? What do? I have the document writing consult, which is going to help you with that. So there's so many consults. Just go check out my website and check out the appointment section. You can see all the consults that I have. People have been finding it very helpful. I also have my podcast. So you could be watching YouTube video, that's great, but you could be multitasking or driving and you just want to listen to it. Go listen to the podcast, and I have most of the videos here also available in podcast format. So go do that. Go to the website first, get the template for this, and start preparing, start working towards your UAT. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.